You're welcome to another session of learning. Today, I'm going to discuss on the topic listening in the classroom. Listening in the classroom. What is a classroom? A classroom is simply an environment where intellectual instructions and interaction takes place between the teacher and the learner. From this definition, we can easily deduct that there are two groups that are involved in the classroom. The first group is the teacher group. The teacher group encompasses the lecturer, the trainer, the instructor, and so on and so forth. While the learner group encompasses students, pupils, apprentices, trainees, inductees, and so on and so forth. So, based on this, the activity that takes place between the teacher and the learner, there is need for certain kinds of listening to be engaged. For the teacher group, the type of listening that should be engaged by the teacher first is called the comprehensive listening. The comprehensive listening deals with the listener working hard to be able to understand the content, interpret it, and present it when it is needed. So, there will be cases where students will come to class with some learned materials, with some contents already in them. They might tend to ask questions. It is expected that the teacher should be able to listen, understand, interpret, and present the expected knowledge back to them in cases of questions or where the learner requires more explanation. That's the aspect of comprehensive listening. The next listening that should be engaging by the teacher group is the critical listening. This listening has to do with the learner trying to listen so as to either accept or reject the content. As we earlier said, students might come to class, but most of the times, some of them don't come to class with empty heads. They already have some beliefs, they already have some ideas in them. So, when they are presenting their own knowledge, it is expected that the teacher should engage in critical listening so that he will be able to either accept or reject the content, all to the benefit of the student. The next type of listening that the teacher should engage in is the empathic listening. The empathic listening is a kind of a listening that we engage in, or that one engages in, so as to be able to give emotional support to the speaker or the presenter. There are instances where students will come to class with personal or private challenges. It is expected that this time around, the teacher should play the role of a parent, the role of a model, listen to them and give them emotional support. This is a crucial aspect of learning, because the moment they did not get that emotional support, whatever content you are going to present to them as a teacher, they might not be ready and willing to listen to you. The next type of listening that a teacher should engage in is called the rapport listening. This is a type of listening where the listener engages in so as to be able to win a client to him. There is this popular saying that a teacher is expected to go to the class, teach his course, advertise his course, and preach his course. It should be a situation where the moment the teacher is going out of the class, the student's priority will be that I want to be like this man. They should see the teacher as a model. Now, with this simple explanation, it is expected that the teacher, in some cases, or at some point, present himself as a listener. Hence, he has to listen or engage in rapport listening, trying to win the student. Now, with this, a teacher will present his content without challenges. Coming down to the second group, what type of listening should the learner be engaged in? The focus of a learner is that he should be able to understand, interpret, and present the learned content any point and at any time it is required of him. So, with this activity, the learner is expected to engage in, first, comprehensive listening. Comprehensive listening, as I said earlier, has to do with the learner understanding the content, interpreting it, and presenting it whenever it is needed. Whenever a question is being asked, the person should be able to present it. So, the learner should engage in comprehensive listening. Whatever content the teacher is presenting, the learner should focus on understanding the content. In fact, that is when you will know whether there is need to ask questions or not. The second aspect of listening that the learner should be engaged in is the critical listening. The critical listening. The critical listening has to do with accepting or rejecting a content. The learner should engage in that because it is not in all cases that he accepts the content religiously from the teacher, because he must have inquired, he must have, gone through some learning materials before coming to the class. So he has to, analyze, he has to listen critically and analyze to see whether or not the content presented by the teacher correlates with the content he has learned earlier or the content of his previous knowledge. Note, students should not go to class with appreciative listening. If you go to the class with appreciative listening, you might end up admiring the class, being amused, laughing in the class, pass without getting the content. Take note of this. No matter what it is, you need to engage in the specified listening types. Thank you.